Welcome to Sovereign OS, the socio-economic operating system that puts sovereignty, autonomy, meritocracy and prosperity back in the hands of citizens. A system where governments become stakeholders once more, not lords and masters. Most countries spend billions of dollars managing the symptoms of problems instead of curing them. These become societies run on a platform of palliative care. Sovereign OS measures this waste through a systemic friction score, which clearly shows that governments and the global NGO industrial complex profit from dysfunction. Instead of supporting marginalization, Sovereign OS converts marginalized individuals into economic contributors without raising taxes. Education reform is central to this approach, aiming to create performing assets rather than diploma or degree holders who are not work-ready. The creators of Sovereign OS started by asking questions. What if the problem isn't capitalism? What if the problem isn't compassion? What if the problem is not greed at the top or entitlement at the bottom? What if the problem is the operating system running it all from the middle? Global governments are allocating enormous resources to long-term welfare dependency, recidivism and incarceration, educational underperformance, chronic unemployment, and bureaucratic inefficiency. And then we are told that these costs are unavoidable expenses. But we see something different. We see impaired human capital, people trapped in systems that manage their stagnation instead of unlocking their contribution. Sovereign OS introduces a new way, and it starts with the systemic friction score. The SFS measures the percentage of a government's budget spent managing non-performing assets rather than enabling economic participation. It cuts through the ideology and focuses on what societies really need to thrive. Visit sovereignos.world/SFS to use the free tool that will show your country's, US states, or SIDS nation score. When friction is high, communities stagnate, budgets bleed, and social trust erodes. When friction is reduced, economic output increases, public costs decline, and human dignity is restored. But we don't just measure the friction, we provide the architecture to reduce it. Most systems focus on containment, keeping problems stable. The Sovereign OS architecture focuses on conversion. Sovereign OS changes the education and justice system. It helps people, businesses, and communities take back their sovereignty and autonomy, and it reintroduces meritocracy into all aspects of life. Even converting 10% of non-performing populations creates billions in recaptured capital, reduced public spending, and increased local economic throughput. This provides governments with the ability to reduce taxes. This is balance sheet restructuring at the societal level. Traditional programs extract capital from communities. Sovereign OS works differently. We train local leaders, we call them sentinels, to implement the operating system inside their own cities and states, embedding and protecting the critical heritage-based tenets that were foundational in their creation. Intellectual capital stays local. Innovation thrives and welfare programs are redesigned and purposed to help citizens first. Financial capital circulates locally, and restoration happens in place. This creates circular economies, ecosystems where energy, education, manufacturing, agriculture, and commerce reinforce one another instead of operating in silos. Long-term sovereignty begins with education. Modern education systems were built for industrial-era compliance. Today's economy requires innovation, systems thinking, and real-world problem-solving. Sovereign OS integrates consequential learning models such as Impact X in colleges, where students build real-world, revenue-generating solutions to socio-economic friction, not theoretical assignments. Graduates enter the workforce as performing assets from day one. Innovate to Graduate is a 3rd through 12th grade integrated syllabus that develops critical thinking, innovation capacity, and economic literacy year over year. Students graduate not just with a diploma, but with demonstrated capability. For governments, Sovereign OS provides measurable friction scores, a balance sheet restructuring model, reduced dependency spending, increased workforce participation, and strengthened local economies. This is not a new program layered onto bureaucracy. It is a human and community-centric socio-economic operating system upgrade. For business leaders and impact investors, Sovereign OS identifies untapped human capital and creates structured pathways to convert it into economic value. This aligns profit with purpose, meritocracy, and the creation of sovereign brands that create measurable ROI, not just financial, but social and structural. We believe that poverty should not be franchised, compassion should not be bureaucratized, and talent should not be institutionalized into stagnation. Sovereign OS reframes social policy as asset optimization and human recapitalization. We move individuals from the liability column to the asset column. We turn dependency into dignity. We reduce friction and increase sovereignty. This is not reform, it is recalibration. The architecture exists. The data exists. The methodology exists. The proof exists. The question is not whether we can afford to upgrade the operating system. The question is whether we can afford not to. Welcome to Sovereign OS. For more information, contact Ms. Jenny Whittle at jwhittle@sovereignos.world.